Hey guys, so it's another episode of Liberate Your Soul with video. If you care to head over to YouTube, you can watch me film this and you'll see me as I am kind of getting over a want to be migraine. I had been under the weather for a couple of days and I still wasn't feeling all the way 100%, but I wanted to get this out to you partially because I haven't felt good. If you are a long-term student of law of attraction, you know that a lot of what we bring into our life is a result of what we want. But did you know that the opposite is also true? That it's sometimes a good thing to not know what you want, or to know exactly what you don't want, rather. See, my head is all scrambled up, but I digress. So, when I don't feel good, like my body literally feels run down, feels tired, I am susceptible to catching a cold that's going around, whatever. I often will look at my habits to determine what I've been doing, what I've been thinking, what I've been believing about myself. And what I found this time is that I have been increasing my amount of stress that I've been exposed to. And it's not through choice, but it's through requirements of the times, I guess you would say. So when I feel like I need to make a change in my life, it's usually as a result of something I don't want. So I haven't been taking my supplements as regularly as I should. In fact, I ran out of a couple that I need to just go and get online or something. I haven't been working out. I probably haven't been eating as well as I could because of the stress and managing that and managing my time poorly in my personal life to where I'm just kind of rushing to grab something to eat whenever I can. So I found that no matter what situation I find myself in, if I really don't like it, if I'm really truly unhappy with what is going on, I am going to be propelled to make a change. I'm going to be examining what's happening and what I can do that's within my power to shift the situation, to adjust the circumstances. Another thing that I can point out is if you are currently battling with something that you just truly don't want in your life, you can simply ask yourself, why? Why are you tolerating this situation or circumstance or person or what it's doing to you? Why is it that you are putting up with something that is less than the best, less than what you want, and not in your best interest? It's not bringing you to your highest vibration. It's not allowing you to express yourself at your highest level or as your highest self. So, why are you tolerating it? Now, for instance, the level of stress that I've experienced is related to my day job. And it's been increasing responsibilities, increasing time, increasingly difficult clients that I'm coping with. Not any of my personal clients, by the way, it's clients of the companies that I work for. And I asked myself, like, why do I feel like I need to keep putting up with this? Right? Do I need to prove anything to anyone? And the answer is no. The answer is simply there's benefits that come along with having a day job, and I'm willing to tolerate the stresses in order to continue moving forward in this business relationship. There can be other times in my life when I've realized or recognized what was going on and been so unhappy that I made radical changes. I made shifts that allowed me to pursue things that I would never have if I hadn't have been dissatisfied. And most of the time, it had to do with what was going on in my personal life. I'm kind of a loyal person in a lot of the senses of the word, but meaning I can stick with a bad situation even in my professional life. But when it comes to my own personal standards, what kind of treatment I'm willing to tolerate or what I can endure for a long period of time is got a shorter fuse. Okay. So whenever I find that there's nothing that I can do within my power to change it, then I do take my power and do what I can. So what does this mean? This means that when I was finding myself in an unhappy marriage, for instance, I would go and seek out counseling. I would seek out an unbiased and educated third party professional to help give me perspective, and at times give both members of that particular marriage perspective as well, and try to learn and work through the problems. When things got bad enough, that's when I sought out the counseling, right? If they were just kind of like, meh, a little mediocre, I wouldn't have gone to those lengths to improve it. Now, over time, eventually, the mind learns that this is or is not working, and it decides to alter the course, right? It can say, not learning, not growing from counseling, not improving the situation. I've given it a certain amount of time. So now I need to shift perspective or shift course. And that oftentimes in my past would lead to separation of the marriage in this particular instance. So it's like, we're not getting anywhere. Clearly, it's not working. Let's spend some time apart. Now, I'm not advocating for this at all. I'm a true believer in marriage. When it's the right person and you're prepared for it and you're maturely approaching the issues that you have in your life, sometimes people just truly grow apart, and sometimes there's irreconcilable differences, and other times there can be really deep pain that even time and strategies and thoughts about it, working with a counselor or a coach is not helping, and you simply need to pick up and move on for your own sense of well-being or even safety if it's an abusive situation. Could be your mental health is suffering because you're putting up with some emotional bad behavior, or physically you could be in jeopardy if you're dealing with someone who's unstable, which I hate to say, unfortunately, I've dealt with both of those things, and I've had to make hard choices. Another time in my life when I really recognized that things weren't going along the way that I wanted them to, and I was so unhappy, I was so incredibly lonely, I was moved to action. I went ahead and went out of my way to ask people if they would want to cultivate a friendship or a relationship. And a lot of people were like, wow, you have such great friendships, and everything that you're going after in your life, how you're pursuing it, like, how do you do that? How do you find the time? Well, the answer was I made the time because I wanted the end result, which was friendship and to not be lonely anymore. So, looking at your life, like whether it's in your professional life, in your business, in your marriage, in any sort of personal, interpersonal relationship that you either have or do not have, I've got to ask you, is the problem bad enough to make you want to change? Right? Have you gotten to a point where your clothes are so tight, you've got to start eating more healthy foods and working out more often, right? I've had that happen too. Is there something that you can do to alter your behavior to shift and get you to the point where you want to be, right? A lot of times when we have a life that there's nothing truly painful, there's nothing wrong with it. We're like, yeah, I get up, I do my thing, I come home, I do my thing, and I'm getting enough sleep. I can kind of manage on this sort of status quo and feel okay. Things aren't going to radically shift. But if you have an area in your life where you're feeling pain, you're feeling discontent, you're feeling like, I just can't put up with this another second, what is it that you're willing to do to give yourself a different outcome? And this, again, all has to do with the law of attraction, because if you listen to Esther or Abraham Hicks, if you Google that, if you aren't already into that sort of thing, you can look at YouTube videos. There's hundreds of them. They always talk about step one in law of attraction, and that is launching rockets of desire. But what triggers desire? It's usually something that we don't have, something we think we want, or something we want to change in our life. And that's what step one of law of attraction is launching that rocket of desire. Universe, I can't take this another second. I've got to make a change. I need something different in my life. Help me out with this, right? So you send that request out through your strong desires or your strong dislike for what's happening in your life. Once that has been established and you know that you don't want this anymore, like for me, for instance, right now with this migraine headache, I don't want this headache anymore. So I examined what was going on in the last couple of days with me. Yeah, I was a little under the weather from a virus that I got, but it was more than that. I've been dehydrated. So I went and got myself this great big water and filled it up more than once because I've been really trying to take good care of myself this evening. I looked at, what I have been doing with my diet lately. Have I been not eating well enough? Is it something that I'm lacking? And like I said at the beginning of the show, I noticed that I'm not taking the supplements that I was taking regularly. So I knew something was missing. Like when I was like, wait a minute, what did I not do today? Oh, yeah, take this vitamin. So I'm going to take immediate steps to try to remedy that. Looking at, instead of like, oh, I have this headache, or maybe it's you don't have enough money, right? Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, there's more month than money this time, and I don't know what I'm going to do. That's enough to motivate you to want to make a shift in your life. You can look at where you can tie some strings tighter in the budget, or you can look at ways that you can bring in income, ways that you can help boost your what is coming into you for just spending money, right? You can say, okay, I'm not comfortable having this payment here. I'd rather have discretionary spending money. So I'm going to cancel this subscription and have a little more cash flow. You could really feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot keep going any longer this way. And so you start looking for a better job. You can start marketing more profusely to saturate the market and get more clients if you have your own business. You can look at the strategies that have worked in the past and different thoughts that you had at that time, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so broke. I don't know where the next paycheck's coming from. I don't know who's going to sign next. I don't know what's going to, how my bank account's going to sustain itself. And you can start telling yourself, I am going to do this because I know I'm going to earn more money. I know I'm going to get more clients. I know that this is all working in my favor. And this is just teaching me and showing me where I can level up my game, right? Where I can be more clear in what I'm offering or offer more often, or however you're going about doing things. If you're a business owner, has not been working, you can make those shifts radically when things get desperate or dire, when you think that you just can't keep going. So you can really change things. Try to think of what else I wanted to share with you. Okay, so a lot of times there's this feeling that we're just getting knocked around by life, right? So you can think of a pinball game. When a pinball is you have that little silver ball, it comes down and it goes up and it hits all the points getters. They make noise, they light up, and they just click each other back and forth, and they shift this ball all around the table. And a lot of times we can think about life as kind of kicking us around from these circumstances that are, less than satisfactory, or however you want to look at it. And you're feeling beat up by life, right? You're like, oh my gosh, it's one perspective to say, I'm totally stressed. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm ending up sick. I have all this stuff that's like kicking my butt, right? But what I'm challenging you now is to think about that ball is like the journey of your life and not actually you. Who you are is the one who's standing at the bottom of the pinball game with your hands on the controllers, ready to hit the flappers. You're ready to react and respond to life circumstances as the journey of the ball continues through, and maybe it comes flying back down towards you and you're about to like lose the ball in the little hole, the return slot or whatever, but you instead hit those flappers in reactivity, and you're like, no, this is not what I want to do. I'm going to change it, and I'm going to flip it back up there and travel down the journey of life more, get more points, and keep going. And you're going to keep going with that effort. So you can really think about, if you're feeling really down right now, no matter what it is about, whether it's any area of your life, whether it's your health or your wealth or your relationships, or no matter what it is, if you start seeing your ball, go down that path, you can react and hit those flappers and bounce it right back up to the top of the table. Now, I've got to tell you, um, the decisions that guide your life are like those little flappers. And you don't always have to wait until the ball is at the bottom of the pinball game. Because remember, sometimes there's little sets of flappers throughout the game at the top and the middle and all of that stuff. And you can alter the course of your life by making the decisions that you need to get you where you want to go. So, for instance, I started this episode off talking about a failed marriage and going to counseling and seeking out solutions and that sort of thing. Will I ever let my life get to the point where I feel that I need a third party to intervene in my marriage again? No, it's never going to come to that point, because I have been through that journey before. I have gotten kicked around and beaten up in those previous marriage relationships where I just really, I learned my lesson. I learned what did and didn't work, and I will not be ever brought back down to a level where the communication in the marriage is suffering, or the level of respect is not reciprocated, or we're not truly lifting each other up in a relational sense, right? I'm just not going to tolerate, my standards are not low, and I'm not brand new to the game, right? It's not my first rodeo, but I've learned the foundational tools by getting kicked around, by needing to go to, counselor and figure out all of that kind of stuff. And I've studied myself as a hypnotherapist and how the mind works enough to know that that's never going to be me again, that that's not what I'm all about. And I've been able to really choose a partner who does love and respect me and love and respect themselves. And we've built a way better life together. Do I still have some things to learn about stress and managing that stress as it comes, in waves in life? Yes, clearly. I can definitely benefit from making more productive choices. And certainly over the weekend, when I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do something about this, I was seeking out what I know to be good stress relievers and finding a good gym to work out in, and making sure that I did do some meal prep, and just making sure that, like, what I could do with my life, what I knew I was in control of, I absolutely had a handle on. So it's one of those things, like, we're all learning in a sense of what we can achieve as our very best, but sometimes we have to get down, we have to feel dissatisfied and unhappy with our circumstances in order to make the radical shifts that allow us to get what we truly want. So I just want you to take heart, have some encouragement if this is you today, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling, and maybe write about it, journal about it, and journal what would be different in your life if this circumstance were different. What would you be doing? How would you be feeling? What would you surround yourself with? And what steps can you take to go move in that direction instead of just feeling the discontent? What can you move toward in your life that's going to start giving you the results that you want? So I am so grateful that I could record for you today and just be here, even though the lighting's not tremendously great. I am going to put this up on YouTube, like I said before, just trying to manage the pain in my head that is happening, and just get things done, because it's a busy week. There's a lot going on. There's a lot more opportunity for stress, but it can also be viewed as things to overcome, and how I can just really be performing at my highest level. So check it out. If you're not already watching it on YouTube, click in the link below. And if you are watching on YouTube, please do check out Liberate Your Soul podcast with me, Kelly Pierce, wherever you listen to podcasts, because there's over 100 episodes on all sorts of different topics that you might enjoy if you've stumbled across me and felt like, hey, she kind of talks my language. So thanks again for spending time with me, and we'll talk to you soon.